The wedding was perfect until my birth family walked in, uninvited, halfway through the ceremony. For 15 years, I'd built a life on the foundation of their abandonment. At 14, they'd traded me for a fresh start, leaving me with a social worker at a bus station, with a suitcase, and the lie that they'd be right back. They never came back. I survived foster care, scholarships, and the quiet, lingering ache of being deemed expendable. Today, in the soft light of a garden ceremony, surrounded by chosen family and my brilliant, loving fiancée Sarah, I was finally burying that ghost. Then the chapel doors creaked open. I saw them first in my periphery, a hesitant, shabby group of 5. The 2 parents, 2 younger strangers who must be siblings, and an older woman. My blood turned to ice. A collective, confused murmur rippled through the guests. Sarah's hand tightened on mine. They walked down the aisle as if in a trance, my mother's eyes wide and brimming with tears, my father's jaw set in a grim line. They stopped at the first pew. The officiant, a dear friend, faltered. "Is there a problem?" "We're his family," my father announced, his voice too loud for the sacred space. "We need to speak." All eyes were on me. Sarah looked at me, her expression a question mark of concern. The old, familiar shame, the unwanted son, the disruption, threatened to drown me. But then I felt Sarah's steady grip, saw the defiant set of my best man's jaw, and a new cold clarity settled over me. "You are not my family," I said, my voice clear and carrying. "You lost that right 15 years ago at a Greyhound station. You need to leave." My mother let out a choked sob. "Leo, please, we've changed. We're so sorry. We just want to explain." "Explain?" I laughed, a short, harsh sound. "You have 5 seconds to turn around and walk out before I have you removed. You're interrupting my wedding." The younger woman, my sister, a face I'd never known, stepped forward. "We drove 12 hours. Don't you even want to know why?" "No," I stated, looking directly at the officiant. "Please continue." But my father didn't move. "You owe us this. We're your blood." That was the spark. "I owe you nothing," I said, stepping slightly forward, putting myself between them and Sarah. "You gave up any claim to me when you drove away. The man I am today was built not by you, but in spite of you. The people here, these are my family. You are strangers, bearing a painful resemblance." Security, 2 large men from the venue, appeared at the back. I gave a slight nod. As they approached, my mother crumbled. "It was the debt. We were going to lose everything. We thought you'd be better off in the system. We were scared." Her confession, hurled into the stunned silence of the garden, was more vile than any lie. They hadn't abandoned me for some tragic, misguided reason. They'd done it for money, a financial calculation. The pity in the guest's eyes morphed into disgust. Sarah's face was a mask of protective fury. "Better off?" My voice was a whisper that somehow cut. "You don't get to use your cowardice as an excuse. Now leave." Security escorted them out, my mother weeping, my father shouting about respect. The doors closed, leaving a ringing silence. I turned back to Sarah. Her eyes were glistening, not with sadness, but with a fierce, unwavering pride. I took both her hands, my own trembling not with weakness, but with the final, seismic release of a chain I'd carried for too long. "I am so sorry that happened," our officiant said quietly. "Don't be," I said, my eyes locked on Sarah's. It was the final gift they could ever give me. They showed up today not for me, but for themselves, to ease their own guilt. And in doing so, they proved beyond any doubt that I was right to build my own family. I squeezed Sarah's hands. "They are the past. You are my future. Let's finish this." The officiant, composed, picked up where he left off. When he asked who gave Sarah to be married, her parents, the people who had taken me in for countless holidays, said in unison, "We do." And when it was my turn, I looked at Sarah's father, the man who had taught me how to change a tire, and shown me what quiet, consistent love looked like, and he gave a firm, proud nod. The rest of the ceremony was a blur of pure, defiant joy. We said our vows with more conviction than ever. We kissed, not just as a promise to each other, but as a seal on the life we had consciously, painstakingly built.